Okay, so here we are in Detroit. And if we just pull out a bit here, you can see where Detroit is relative to Toronto, where we are. Oh, here we are, Toronto. Oh, sorry. Boop, boop, boop. And right down here is Detroit. So not far from us. Um, so Detroit is responsible for techno. And techno came up in 1981 in Detroit. That's where it was born. And this is largely because a lot of kids in Detroit were listening to this one late night radio host named the Electrifying Mojo. His real name was Charles Johnson. And his radio program ran through 1977 to the mid 1980s. So late night radio DJs were really important at the time. Now we can listen to music in lots of different ways. If you want to check out some new music, you can just go on the internet, or you can Google whatever you want. You can pull up Spotify. There's tons of different ways to listen to music. But back in the day, you could go and buy records and you could listen to the radio. And so, mainstream radio, there weren't even that many radio stations at the time. So, and this is in the early days of FM radio. If you go on your radio, you can see there's AM and FM. So this is the early days of FM radio. This one guy has his own show. It's 5 hours long, late at night, and he can play whatever he wants. And there's not that much else to listen to. So a whole bunch of kids are listening to this one guy, and his radio station was on a station that's geared towards mostly young black kids in Detroit. But he wasn't only playing R&B, he was playing tons of different kinds of music. So a lot of people, especially young black kids in Detroit, were exposed to a whole bunch of different kinds of music. New wave, like synth pop music from Germany. This band Kraftwerk, which was really instrumental in the development of techno. I'll play them in a moment. Italian disco, Prince, funk, a whole bunch of different stuff. And this DJ always remained anonymous because he believed that if he was anonymous, then he would have an easier time sort of seeing what was really going on. He didn't have to be a celebrity, and so he would have an easier time recognizing what it was like to be a normal person, and then would be able to relate to them better. It wasn't a commercially driven show, and he had these super crazy intros. So I'll play one of the intros for you.
Please rise. If you would like to become a member of the Midnight Funk Association, stand up. Show us your solidarity. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to acquiesce to the prerequisites for membership in the Midnight Funk Association? For as long as you should feel the need to be intense.
So yeah, it was awesome. And so some of the music he was playing, this is some of the stuff he was spinning on the show. So he'd be playing that, he'd be playing.
So cold. Maybe I'm just too demanding. Maybe I'm just like my father, too bold. Maybe I'm just like my mother.
And he'd be playing stuff like that. It sounds like he was just playing whatever he thought was cool, which is super awesome. So some of these kids that were listening to him, they lived in this place called in the burbs of Detroit. They lived in Belleville, Michigan. So over here, these three kids started this group called the Belleville Three. They were Juan Atkins, Derek May, and Kevin Saunderson. And they were super instrumental in the development of techno. So they all made a whole bunch of their own music, and I'll include links to a lot of that stuff. But I wanted to play one specific thing. So these kids were getting into DJing. They were using drum machines like the Roland TR-909 to make new music, and they started throwing, just like in Berlin, they started throwing raves. So this is a cool example of how one of the guys, Kevin Saunderson, used a TR-909, this drum machine, to make this song called Good Life with his band Inner City. So here's the beat first.
Good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life, good life. The next one.
And then here's the song. So it's super awesome. So what ended up happening was this radio DJ, the Electrifying Mojo, heard the music that these kids were making, and he liked it, and he realized that he had influenced them, and they loved his show. And so then he would start playing their music on his show to make the music even bigger. So Detroit techno had this underground scene going, but it didn't really break there. The mainstream didn't really pick it up in Detroit, but it did pick up in Berlin. So that Detroit started it, and Berlin really put it into the mainstream. So we're going to go back to Berlin and talk about techno in Berlin nowadays. Here we go.